Hummingbird logic. That's the phrase that comes to mind when I think of avoidance. They dart in, they hover, they show flashes of brilliance, moments so sweet you forget how fleeting they are. Then, off they go again, vanished into the emotional ether. And you, poor soul, are left blinking, wondering if what just happened was real, or some dream stitched together from longing and half-remembered touches. Now, today, I want to talk about a rather delicate dance. How to make an avoidant crave connection without pressuring them. A marvelously intricate thing, like tuning an old piano that only plays in the rain. It can be done, but only if you have patience, precision, and a little bit of poetry. You see, making an avoidant crave connection is not the same as coaxing a cat from under the bed. This is not about treats and affection until they trust you. It's far more nuanced than that. Avoidants are not hiding because they don't want love. They're hiding because love once hurt them. And badly. You don't make them want connection by crowding the doorway of their heart. You make them curious enough to step outside. Let me tell you a story. I once knew a man named Bernard. Now Bernard, by all external measures, was as solid as oak. Investment banker, Savile Row suits, voice like granite. And yet inside, he was tissue paper and shadow. He'd been left by his mother when he was 7. She promised to come back after the weekend. She never did. That kind of wound, it doesn't scream, it echoes. So Bernard built a life of certainty, control, precision. He had a drawer for every receipt, a plan for every Tuesday. And when it came to romance, oh, he played the game well. Dinners, flowers, charm. But the moment someone reached for his heart like it was something they had a right to hold, he'd disappear. Not rudely, not even obviously. He'd simply fade, a gentle pulling away, like a ship turning its sails just enough to drift off course. And here's where most people make the mistake. They chase the ship. They swim after it, shouting, "Why are you drifting? Come back. Love me." But what they don't realize is this. The more you swim, the further he sails. Not because he doesn't care, but because your pursuit is pressure. And pressure to an avoidant is danger. So how then do you make a Bernard, or the Bernadette in your life, crave connection? Now we enter the real theater. The first thing you must understand is this. Safety before intimacy. For you, perhaps intimacy creates safety. But for the avoidant, safety permits intimacy. Let me tell you about Eleanor. She had this way of sitting, half slouched, one knee drawn up, sipping tea like it held the meaning of the universe. She dated a man for 4 years who would only call her my friend at dinner parties. Now Eleanor, she was no fool. She wasn't some meek waif hoping to be loved into wholeness. She simply knew how to move slowly. With avoidance, she moved like water, not fire. She never demanded answers. She never interrogated his silences. Instead, she became the one place he felt no pressure to perform. And do you know what happened? He began telling her things. Small things at first. Childhood memories, regrets, dreams. His voice would crack, then recover. She would listen. Not fix, not analyze. Just witness. And that, dear listener, is one of the greatest secrets. Avoidants are not allergic to connection. They are allergic to the expectation of immediate emotional performance. But become the person who allows them space to simply be, and they begin to unfold. You don't pull them closer, you let them step forward. Now let's talk about curiosity. Ah, yes. Curiosity is the compass of desire. Avoidants often feel suffocated by expectation, but they are drawn to mystery. Not games, mind you. Authentic mystery. A life that is rich and full, with or without them. They don't want to be the sun in your sky. They want to earn the right to orbit you. Do you understand the difference? Many make the mistake of making their lives revolve around the avoidant, waiting by the phone, canceling plans, obsessing over every breadcrumb of affection. But that teaches the avoidant something dangerous. Your world is theirs to control. And once they feel responsible for your emotional temperature, they retreat. Not because they don't care, but because they fear they will fail you. And failure, to someone already doubting their worth, is unbearable. But when you live your life, truly live it, when your laughter isn't on pause, when your days are full of color, friends, music, learning, they begin to lean in. They wonder, what is it about you that makes life sing even without me? Now here's the strange paradox. It's your emotional self-sufficiency that draws them closer. Not coldness, not walls, but sovereignty. You must be your own sun. Because avoidants are drawn to warmth, but terrified of dependency. I remember once sitting with a man named Leo. Leo was the classic avoidant, stoic, composed, emotionally constipated as they come. But he was seeing a woman named Rena, who never flinched when he pulled away, never punished him for needing time. She simply lived her life, painting, dancing, writing. And every time he reappeared, she welcomed him not with a scolding, but with curiosity. What was that like for you? She invited him, not into guilt, but into reflection. Do you see? To make an avoidant crave connection, you must remove the minefields. Connection cannot grow in the soil of shame. It must be nourished with safety, curiosity, and yes, just a pinch of unpredictability. And oh, I must say this, you cannot fake this kind of presence. You must become the very thing you offer. This is not manipulation. This is evolution. You must become emotionally mature enough to stand still when they wobble. Not because you're playing some seductive waiting game, but because you've learned to hold your own heart without trembling. There's something else. Avoidants respond deeply to consistency without demand. That's a rare cocktail. Most people oscillate between warmth and panic, between affection and accusations. But the one who learns to be steady without neediness, that person becomes an oasis. You don't send 7 texts in a row. You send one with joy, and then you go on with your life. You don't ask, why didn't you call? You ask, how are you? And mean it. And when they open up, because they will eventually, you listen without jumping in to fix or define or label. You let their words sit in the space between you like sacred offerings. One more story. There was a boy named Max who once told his partner, "When I was young, every time I cried, I was sent to my room. Now, when I feel overwhelmed, I isolate. Not because I want to hurt you, but because I don't know another way." That confession didn't come in year 1 or year 2. It came in year 4. And only because she never tried to knock on the door he closed. She just sat quietly outside. Sometimes she'd slip notes under it, little reminders that she was there but not waiting, present but not pressing. That space became safety, and safety eventually became trust. Trust is slow. With avoidance, it's glacial, but glaciers move mountains. Now let's address the great temptation, the moment when you want to define the relationship, to ask, where is this going? What are we? Do you love me? Perfectly fair questions. But with avoidance, the timing of those questions is everything. Ask them too soon, and you'll send them back into their shell like a startled turtle. Instead, watch for actions. Are they showing up? Are they sharing more? Are they consistent even in small ways? If so, let connection blossom before you pin it to a label. Let it breathe. Let it grow roots before you decorate it. And if they truly, deeply care, but are still afraid, you will know, because they will try. Imperfectly, haltingly, but they will try. You must reward the trying, not punish the stumbling. This is how you train the nervous system of someone who has known abandonment, rejection, or suffocation, to associate closeness with peace. Not pressure, not expectation. Peace. Do you understand the beauty of that? To make someone crave connection, you must become the kind of presence that feels like home, not a battlefield, a fireplace, not a furnace, and never, ever beg. Not because pride matters, but because begging teaches the avoidant to see love as something they control. Craving is born not from pity, but from admiration. If they admire your strength, your steadiness, your spark, they'll inch closer. Not because they have to, but because they want to. Desire, after all, is the result of wonder, and wonder only blossoms when you stop trying to be wanted and start being whole. So here it is, the strange, poetic formula. Be warm, but not engulfing. Be curious, not invasive. Be consistent, not clingy. Be sovereign, not separate. And above all, be real. Let them feel your humanity, not just your patience. Speak honestly, love gently, live richly, and then watch. Watch them begin to crave what they once feared. Not because you chased, but because you became the invitation. And the bravest avoidants, yes, even they, eventually accept the invitation that doesn't shout, but hums, like a song remembered from childhood, like a hummingbird pausing just long enough to land.
If you believe this video might help someone dear to you, share it with them. A small gesture on your part could mean the world to a friend in need.